vulnerable people, we kind of are afraid of how they're going to judge us or see us. But in reality, we're really judging and hyper judging ourselves. So how can we show up with self compassion for who we are, pour into us, and then from that show other people? That's what I preach on stage.
Okay. And now getting a book that was published and everything,
Yes.
That's an immense, congratulations.
Thank you.
First of all.
Thank you.
What was that experience like?
This was probably the longest college essay I have ever
I can imagine.
But no, I love it. I love it. I mean, honestly, I'm grateful that it's published in Amazon. You can get on Amazon.com, Barnes and Nobles, anywhere you get books. You can get on my website as well.
Mm-hmm.
But the mission with this book was to take what I learned in the hospital and make it more approachable.
Okay.
Right? It's not like an academic book. It's very much an unapologetic, true story about what I dealt with when I was a 22-year-old.
Okay. And do you have any favorite places you've been traveling? And you're obviously back home. You're originally from Sharon.
Yes.
But do you have a favorite place that you've been, telling this story and leading on stage?
It's like a curveball, but
Okay.
I love presenting in the state of Tennessee. Here's why. The state of Tennessee is a long state, right? But they got some good food. The energy is so nice. They got the nice southern charm. But the people who I meet there, right? I'll never forget it. I was speaking at a school called Eastern Tennessee State University. I had met this student. She was just glowing. Like, she had the biggest smile ever. And she was 18 years old, put herself through college, was actually in and outside the foster care system. And when I heard her story, I was just so captivated by the resilience, right? About a week later, I'm in New York at Pace University in Manhattan. I'm doing the same presentation. That classic night where you can't sleep in a hotel, I'm living out of a suitcase, so I'm tossing and turning. I go onto my phone just to kill the time, to do the classic doomsday scrolling.
Yep.
I get a DM on Instagram saying the girl who I met, Joanna was her name, died. And she was 18 years old, passed away. My first thought, I went to the most negative places. I was like, how does an 18-year-old pass away? Find out she died by suicide. And the reason why I believe now Tennessee is one of my favorite places because Joanna, a student like her, is exactly why I do what I do. To help students feel less alone in that pain, to validate that pain, to understand you can talk about this and not feel so ashamed of it. So that's why I say that Tennessee is the best place for me because it reminds me of why I do my job.
That's powerful. Thank you. Now the cards you brought with you today as well.
Yes.
Do you want to tell us a little bit more about those?
Yes, so the backstory behind these was when I was a kid, my older brother, I'm the youngest of three, my older brother Mikey, he had a collection of Pokemon cards.
Was it worth something today? I hope you hung on to them.
Well, I actually would go into his room, I would steal them,
Yeah.
and then sell them to my friends.
That's a good little brother. He must have not have been happy when he found
No,
it. Yeah.
he was pissed. He was very angry, very angry. But it was profitable.
Yeah,
So,
right, yeah, exactly.
But I thought, when I was a kid, I loved Pokemon. I understood that kids love collecting things. When I was in the mental health program when I was 22, I learned the powerful tool of personification. Not using it in a literary sense of like writing a story, but personifying your anxiety. So in my book, I personify my anxiety as ACE. So it's actually an acronym that stands for Anxiety Controls Everything. Because it felt like for me as a kid, everywhere I was, their anxiety was. So when I was like telling my story on stages, I'd be like, ACE was telling me this, ACE was telling me that. I felt like this, and students loved it. They were like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna call my depression Zoloft. It was like this whole thing. And I was like, what if I could personify my entire toolbox, all the healthy coping skills that I have? And what if I made them into trading cards like Pokemon that kids could collect and trade with each other so they learn healthy coping skills, but it's fun, not forced.
Gotcha.
So that is what I call Happy Heroes. So Happy Heroes are tradable, collectible coping skills that make mental health education more approachable and easy to learn instead of being forced and boring.
Okay, gotcha.
That's the whole thing.
So it's for like you said, you're going to the different high schools and things like that. So
Yes.
that's perfect for that
Yes.
that age as well.
Yes.
Do you teach at? I shouldn't say teach, but are you teaching younger kids as well? Like,
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm so grateful that I have presented to like youngest as like second grade, all the way to parents.
Yeah.
Everyone in between.
Yeah.
Even grandparents.
I mean, I believe it. I mean, anxiety. Everybody has it. It's not.
Yeah.
It's in dealing with it. It's not an easy thing to do.
No, it's not.
Especially for kids, because they don't know how to handle their emotions. I would think that.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. It breaks my heart.
What's that age group like working with? The kids, like you said, from second maybe to like the sixth grader. How are those kids to work with?
I have a lot of empathy for them.
Yep.
Mainly because in a post-pandemic world, right? If I speak to a sixth grader, I'm not really speaking to a sixth grader. I mean, when I first started speaking in 2023 on the public speaking circuit, going into schools, sharing my story, I was really speaking to, honestly, like a third grader. It felt like.